Ukraine is a major grain exporting country, and in the wake of the Russia Ukraine war, it is unable to ship its produce to Africa, to Asia, or to any other market. So, Ukraine now has only one option to export its grain to the outer world by the land route through EU countries. And this is the exact reason why the farmers in EU are opposing agro imports from Ukraine. There are fears that cheap grain from Ukraine will flood their markets and render the farmers bankrupt in countries like Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia. Last month, Polish farmers staged a massive protest and even blocked the Shangini border crossing with Ukraine for over a day. The blockade restricted truck traffic from Ukraine with only one truck per hour permitted from Poland to Ukraine. Farmers' protests have now become so common in Poland that the Polish government does not shy away from labeling them pro Russian and accusing them of peddling the Kremlin's propaganda. In February this year, Polish PM Donald Tusk lost his calm when he saw some farmers carrying pro Russia banners. Tusk declared, "There is one thing I will never agree to. We cannot allow those who openly and shamelessly support Putin, serve Russian propaganda, to be active on the Polish Ukraine border, taking advantage of farmers' protests." Earlier this year, Polish farmers held massive protests with over 200 road and rail blockades. They even poured grain from incoming Ukraine wagons onto rail tracks. One such protest featured a banner with the slogan, "Putin put things in order with Ukraine, Brussels, and our rulers." Now, coming back to these recent protests in Poland, thanks to these protesting farmers, the Polish government is now on the back foot after so many months. According to media reports, despite pressure from the Brussels, Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia are ignoring EU orders to open their markets. This could mean that these EU nations might derail future EU-Ukraine trade deals or trade talks. Upcoming trade talks will focus on renewing tariff-free quotas under the existing EU-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement. It is expected that during the talks, Ukraine will insist on the maximum trade liberalization that is possible, but Poland will most likely prefer a more restrictive approach. It will have to do it to keep its farmers in good humor. Now, this stance by Poland has irked Ukraine big time. For instance, Zelensky recently accused Poland of not fulfilling its commitment to deliver MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine. But Polish Deputy Prime Minister Krzysztof Gawłowski was quick to fire back, issuing a scathing statement against the former comedian. Gawłowski said, "I got the impression that the recent words of President Zelensky were unworthy of a politician who owes much to Poland. Equipment have been provided, citizens are cared for, and Poland is great friend of Ukraine, a transportation hub. In such a case, I think one should say thank you, not complain." Before the farmers' protest erupted in Poland, Warsaw allocated 4.9% of its GDP to aid Ukraine since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. Now, the tables have turned. Not to forget that Poland will hold its presidential elections just after 6 months in May next year. Andrzej Duda is completing his second term and will not run again, sparking intense competition for the vacancy. And that is why the government there in Warsaw is taking a cautious, informed stance on Ukraine.